All right, hey everybody. Today I'm going to be counting down the 5 oldest cards in the collection. Special sixth entry will be non-sports, and it's actually from the 1800s. So that's coming afterwards once we count these 5 down. There's one brand new card to my collection I'm going to show off, and the rest I've had for a little bit. I'll talk a little bit about each set, maybe a little bit about each player, that kind of thing. So the 5th oldest card in my set is my 1948 Bowman Stan the Man Musial. 49 Bowman is a huge step up for Bowman cards. There's 240 in the set, and they increased way up from 48 the prior year. Set collectors know that 49 Bowman just looks so awesome. I mean, I love this card because it's got that deep blue. My cousin Tony actually brokered a deal for me at the National. Shout out. Did a great job with centering and with just really good registration. It's crystal clear and really deep blue. And again, the 49 Bowman set was just such a cool set because it's in color and just has so many great stars in it. I mean, there's massive cards in that set like Jackie Robinson, that kind of thing. Stan Musial, a lot of people consider him to be top 10, top 5, maybe baseball player all time. He's probably most well known for how good he was just of a pure hitter. Not to mention he had almost 500 home runs. But what really stuck out to me, apart from the 3 MVPs he won, apart from the 24 All-Star games, is that he had 6 seasons where he batted over 350. That guy just was so consistently excellent at hitting the baseball. Only guy that I can think of from my era ever would be a Tony Gwynn type in terms of just pure hitter. But definitely awesome and an all-time great. This card I ended up buying for $450 several years ago at the National, like I said. And the last couple sales have been doing really well. I'm not going to sell this thing, but the last few sales were over $600, so I'm feeling pretty good about that purchase. So that was number 5. We're going to switch to number 4, a year earlier, 1948, Swell Sport Thrills Bob Feller. I bought this card because I wanted a rookie year Feller. Now, obviously, I know he also has the Fathead earlier card. That's a long-term goal of mine. That's a 4-figure card. But this one definitely really liked the image of it and the fact that it commemorated the strikeout record at the time. The reason I picked this one over the Bowman is, number one, I thought it had a nicer image of Feller. Some of the Sport Thrills cards were action shots, and I didn't like him as much. This got that nice portrait of him. And also, the bigger reason is because it's got 10 times less of a population than the Bowmans of 48. This population in PSA is 147, and the Bowman PSA is 1,500. So you're talking 10 times as many. Now, obviously, this is SGC, but that's just something I always use to kind of tell me what a car is looking like. So pick this one up, rookie year Bob Feller, 1948 Sport Thrills. A year earlier, this is a set that isn't quite as popular or common. This is the 1947 Bond Bread set. This is Lou Boudreau. Not quite as popular of a player, although he is a Hall of Famer and an Indians legend. The Bond Bread set is probably most well known for the litany of Jackie Robinsons. There's several different versions of him. There's a hitting, a fielding, portrait, that kind of thing. And those are massive cards because they're actually a year earlier than his rookie in the next year's sets. So this one I got next to nothing. I walked in at one of the card shows a few years ago, and it was sitting there for $25 at a table, and I offered 20, and the guy took it no problem. So I really like this card. I like the image on it. And it's really cool to have, and it didn't cost me much of anything at all. Next card is 6 years earlier. So if you're doing the math in your head, that's 1941. And this is my new card. This is my double play, and it is of the same fella, Lou Boudreau. I really like this card. This is something that I've been searching for quite a while. And I've actually had alerts open for this card. It's so rare. Less than 100 total in the PSA pop. This is the double play. I really like this card because it's actually kind of interesting to notice. Interesting that like the left is number 131, the right is 132. So people actually cut these up and made individual cards out of them. So the fact that I've got one that's got both players, Clarence Soup Campbell was his nickname. No idea why, but that's what came up. And this card is kind of interesting the way I got it. I got a notification that it was on ComC. It was on eBay, and I looked, and it happened to be on ComC. And whenever you see a card on ComC, it was best offer through eBay. Go on the ComC website. I was able to get 25% off just by going through ComC's website. And I sent an offer. It was immediately accepted. So I got this for what I thought was a very great deal. And to me, I'm just looking for a really well-centered, and again, I like the coloration. The borders are a little soft, but it doesn't matter to me because it just looks so nice in the grade that it is a 4. So they don't come up very often. This is the rookie of Lou Boudreau, Hall of Fame manager. Just an overall incredible baseball mind. He's credited with actually creating the shift. He tried to figure out a way to get Ted Williams out, which was real hard at the time, and he ended up moving his fielders around, and it helped out a little bit. So he's the inventor of the modern day shift. Of course, now it's illegal, but back then it's what it was. He was also the captain of the 1948 World Series champion Cleveland Indians. That's another reason why he's very popular to all Cleveland collectors. And finally, my number one oldest baseball card, and no, it's not a T206, is my 1935 Diamond King Stars Hal Trosky. So this set is what I think one of the prettiest sets there are. And when I was first researching pre-war cards, it looked so colorful and vibrant. I thought to myself, no way that thing's pre-war. But certainly it is. There's a number of bigger stars. The Lou Gehrig, for example, is massive. But Hal Trosky was an interesting case, and he's largely forgotten about. Now, he is a Cleveland Guardians Hall of Famer, but did not make it into the Baseball Hall of Fame, mainly because his career was cut short. He ended up dealing with migraines and vision loss. So his career, he had about 6, maybe 5 or 6 just incredible seasons, but never really sustained it. And what's crazy to me is he never once made an All-Star game. You might think, why? Well, hey, 1935, we had a guy named Lou Gehrig, we had Jimmy Fox, we had Hank Greenberg, who were getting all those accolades. Even this season, now, obviously WAR didn't exist back then, but he had 7.1 WAR, the 1936 season, I should say, 7.1 WAR, 42 home runs, 162 RBIs, and he batted .342. Not only did he not win the MVP, he did not even make the All-Star game. So you can kind of just see what it was like back then. Definitely a what if Hal Trosky, if he played modern day, you got to figure he probably would have gotten some care that he needed and potentially could have elongated his career, and you never know. But he ended up with a very respectful career, 260 plus home runs, some great statistical seasons, but ended up never really put it together. Last but not least, that was my oldest baseball card. Again, I don't have any T206s, although I would like to get some. But this card is from the 1800s. It is the N8 Allen and Ginter 50 Fish. And I'm going to zoom in because it's such a cool card. This set was produced in 1889, and it had 50 fish that you could find at the American waters at the time. And this brook trout is the one that I got. I'm trying to let you all see just how incredible the artistry is on this thing. I can't believe, I had to research how these things were made. And there are people out there that know this process much better than me. But essentially it's called lithographic or lithograph, where an artist actually created the drawing on a stone, like a sheet of stone. And then by some process, by inking that, they're able to make copies of it. But it left with this very vibrant, incredible image, which, came from the 1800s, before my great-grandfather was even born. And I'm sitting here with a PSA 5 in front of me. So I love this card just because of the history. And, I'm really into the history of baseball and of America, and certainly, what life was like back then. They were sold in cigarette cases, so when you got your pack of cigarettes, this would come out of there and you collect them. And I messaged the guy who sold a bunch of these on eBay years ago, and he basically made it his life's goal to complete these sets in as high grade as possible. And whenever he would get a higher grade, he would sell the lower. So he basically told me he found one that was better than a 5, and he had this one to sell. And everything he did would just go back and to build these incredible sets. So my oldest card, 130, 140 years old, and it still looks like you pulled it out of a pack today, or even better. So that's it, guys. Those are my top 5 oldest sports cards from 1949 to 1934, with our extra N8 Allen Ginter Brook Trout from all the way back from 1889. So have a great rest of your day, and hopefully you'll come back for more of this content.